Hello, my friends, and welcome to the garden here at the Elliott Homestead. Today, I thought we would do something a little bit different, which is not show you something that we know how to do or something that we can teach you how to do, but instead show you a project that's really incomplete and really in its infancy, and a project that we're kind of having to deep dive into learning about. We're going to go up to the new herb garden together. I would like to thank Audible for sponsoring today's video. This is a perfect fit for when I'm out in my garden because I always pack around my little speaker and I put on an audiobook and I listen while I work. So here's what I would love for you to do. Visit audible.com/Shay or just text Shay to 500-500. And when you do that, you can get started with a 30-day free trial. Audible is full of all kinds of audio entertainment. They offer audiobooks across all kinds of genres, mysteries and business, you name it. And as an Audible member, you can choose one title a month to keep from their entire catalog, including the latest bestsellers. You also get full access to a growing selection of audiobooks, Audible originals, and podcasts. I just finished My Life in France, which is a memoir of Julia Child, and I found it very inspiring in the kitchen. And now I'm going to take my speaker outside and I'm going to finish listening to The Unsettling of America by Wendell Berry, which is really revving my agrarian spirit, and it feels a perfect fit for what we have going on out here today. So visit audible.com/Shay or text Shay to 500-500, and you can get started with Audible today and get a 30-day free trial. Browse around, find a book you want to just deep dive into, and have fun with it. Okay, welcome to my very new, very incomplete, and very young herb garden. So this was just grass a couple of years ago. And we started this garden by doing the no-dig method. If you're unfamiliar with this, it means that we didn't till the soil. We didn't really do anything to the land other than mow the grass down. Then we put down a really thick layer of good cardboard and then put about 6 inches of fresh compost over the top. And that's how we built the basis of this entire herb garden. So you can see we used rock to edge the beds. Then we have the beds of plants here, and then just use wood chips on the walkways. So even though this is a new garden, I still have a lot of hope for it. But I'm having to kind of rise to the next challenge of learning how to use all of these medicinal herbs that I'm really unfamiliar with. So the first year of the bed, we planted things that I knew what to do with. Things like lavender and oregano and thyme. And then you can see behind me, we have a plum tree and an apple tree. That felt safe. That felt like, okay, I know what I'm doing here. So focusing more on the culinary herbs side of things to begin with. So you can see parsley behind me, mint over here. Lots of things that I knew how to preserve and I knew how to cook with and I knew how to use. But this year I kind of wanted to take it a step further. And I really do want to learn how to use some of these herbs medicinally. So last year here on our channel, we made an echinacea tincture, which has been a great resource for my family when we've been sick. Then we also made a fire cider, which uses some of these herbs as well. But we just got our big shipment of medicinal herbs in, and I have a lot to learn. The thyme has done very well this year, and I want to get it while it's good. As summer gets going and it gets hotter, it tends to get a lot woodier of a stem. Right now it's really sweet, really fragrant, and really tender. So I'm going to do a good harvest of this. I'm going to get some in the freeze dryer so that I can use it in the kitchen. But I'm also going to make a thyme-infused vinegar, which is really delicious on chicken. I don't need a ton of it. I just want to keep some on hand. I'd also like to get some mint harvested from this little garden today. What's neat about a lot of these herbs that we're going to be growing in the garden is that they can be used both in the kitchen and medicinally. So thyme is certainly one of those herbs. I've used thyme essential oil a lot, so I'm kind of familiar with its medicinal properties, but there are some that I've brought into the garden that I don't have a clue what to do with. Luckily, there's lots of great herbalism books online, medicinal herb garden kind of guides and those sorts of things. The idea with this garden is that it can really be completely free form. Things can seed and spread and just kind of be spilling over the edges. And it can be its own little sort of isolated area of organized chaos. So mint is a very intrusive plant, and you'll always read that you should put it into a pot or a container so that way it keeps it from spreading so much. But I kind of like to just let it do its thing. I mean, it's easy enough to pull up. It is invasive, don't get me wrong, but it is one of those multi-purpose herbs as well. This is something that we can use medicinally. This is also something that we can use in the kitchen. So right now, when the tips are still this like really bright green color before it's gone to flower, this is a really great time to harvest mint. It can be a little bit sad. I love letting mint go to flower because the bees absolutely go crazy for it, but I'll leave them plenty enough. This is also a really great time of year to harvest this for drying for teas because the leaves are really tender. This is going to go into my freeze dryer as well. I have found that that's just a much better way for me to preserve herbs because it really keeps their integrity and their flavors intact. So it just adds a lot more flavor as opposed to drying them directly, which you can certainly do. I've done that for years. You don't really have to worry about over harvesting mint because it's such an aggressive grower. I know there's a few other aggressive growers that we have in here as well. In fact, I was just reading up on one of the new ones that we planted, and it said, beware, it will spread by rhizomes underneath, and it shoots out these roots and then new plants pop up. I may regret saying this, but I'm not gonna dig it up or plant it in a container. I wish I could remember even which one it was. Let me introduce you to some of the new plants that we have in here. So I know it looks like a very beginner garden, and in a lot of ways it is. I've sort of interplanted a few vegetables and a few flowers like sunflowers and roses and clematis, just to try to bring some extra life to this area as all of the little herbs get established. But it's exciting to see, and I think there's also this kind of important element in understanding that we don't know how to do everything, and we often don't have the answers until we kind of just jump in the deep end and try it. I think gardening is one of those things that people can hold back on, and they just think, well, I don't know how to grow carrots, or I don't know how to harvest lemon balm, or I don't know how to grow a cabbage. And no one does until they actually just put their hands to the dirt and do it. So that's the outlook I'm trying to take on this garden. I don't know exactly what it will be or how it will turn out. I have an idea of what I hope for, and I have a really big idea of what I hope to learn from it. So I'm just going to be pouring some vinegar right over the top of this thyme. This is a rice vinegar, which I like because it has a lot lower acidity, so it doesn't completely overpower the thyme flavor. You kind of get the benefit of both flavors. And literally that's it. It just needs to sit for about 3 weeks in a cool and dark place like a basement, and then it's ready to use. I know that there is an entire world of medicinal herbs and even culinary herbs that I have yet to tap into. So I'm hoping that this new garden is really like a gateway. Thanks for joining me in my incomplete infancy garden tour today. We'll see you next time.